Well, one thing I think I remember about the duo is that you both made it seem effortless, which is, a great thing, of course. Um, but how long was it before you got comfortable with not trying to overplay, not trying to play the piano player's part and the bass player's part and the drum part too? I mean, how did it get to the point where it became this well balanced duo? Was
Well,
that immediate or did that take work?
well, it on my end, it was a lot of work to figure out because I didn't want to just go ba-doom, doom, 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 doom. I tried to become an orchestra. I had all different ways of doing the music, and what I would do is I worked out introductions. So if I just played a little bit of this introduction, she knew exactly where we were going. So I would do that, and I had basic, sketches that always worked, but I improved on them, and we did all kinds of things with them, and we did it for over 14 years, and we never repeated one set. We always did something different.
Wow.
We repeated tunes,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, but we never repeated a set. Before we went on, we'd say, okay, well, tonight let's start with this, and then we'd always end up not doing what we planned, and it always went like that. But that was the idea, to do it that way, and I never looked at a piece of music in the 14 years. I memorized everything because she did.
It's almost like you laid the blueprint down for the art of the duo. No matter what those two pieces are, it seems you accomplished that with voice and bass. Because the idea in the duo is not to overplay, not to underplay, but to play just the right amount.
Right. Well, actually, the other thing I was going to say, and I just remembered, uh, we were in a duo. We were a trio.
How so?
Bass, voice, and space.
Ah, okay. So you looked at it that way. Okay.
That's how we did it.
Yeah.
We always made a joke that we're a trio
The Invisible Man was part of the group. Okay.
because Sheila is such a strong singer that I could just play one note. I don't have to play anything more, and she could just go.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
And that's what I heard her do on that George Russell record. She opens up so alone, singing "You Are My Sunshine," and then while she's singing, all these weird horn parts, atonal things come in, and she just goes right through it perfectly. She's like that, and so that was the way the duo would work so well. Is I didn't try to fill every space. I didn't have to. So that was it.
So Harvey, we talked about you hearing about Sheila in the beginning. We talked about the duo coming together and how it came together. Sheila sort of tricked you into it, but she had a
totally
plan.
tricked me.
So now we have some time, and I'd love to hear some stories about the duo. Tell me what you can about the duo. Anything you want to tell me about the duo?
Okay, well, first thing I'd like to talk about how we met.
Okay.
Okay, I was in high school and I heard Sheila, and I when I came to New York, I'm thinking, I don't know where this Sheila Jordan person is, but I really hope I cross paths with her. I just want to go see her play somewhere. And nothing was working. I just wasn't running into her. So I, figured, well, maybe one day. So at the time I was with Lee Koenitz's band, and we were working a lot, and we would play at this place called The Onlyest Place, which was originally the Half Note.
Okay.
The Half Note moved uptown, and another guy took over the Half Note and did not do a good job. But I played there a lot with Lee Koenitz. We played 6 nights a week there. Anyway, we would just, play there with just, different people would come by. And I got through that gig, I got to meet Paul Bley. And so one night I'm playing there, and Lee Conant says to me, he says, Harvie, he says, Sheila Jordan's in the audience. Would it be okay if I asked her to sit in? And I went, yeah. I was like, unbelievable. Finally, here she comes. So Sheila Jordan comes up, and I got to say, Sheila will get things going in a wild way. She somehow got Lee Conant singing, and the two of them were singing, and I always remember the song, and I'm sure, the stories, like I said, we're on tap. These are stories that you're not getting out of any books. Right. Nobody knows these stories except me. They started singing the liverwurst song. Don't ask me why. Somehow liverwurst came up, and they made up a song about liverwurst, and they sang it, and it was, and Masuo was the guitarist. Yeah. And so he started to follow it and making up chords, and I started to play along with that. And and Jimmy Madison was on drums, and we just did this thing. It was so crazy. And then we did some standards and played, and it was great. So after the gig, Sheila was in. I was talking. Said, "Oh, Sheila, it's so nice to meet you. I'm really big fan." And she says, now at that time she called me kid. She goes, "Kid, I like the way you play. Would you do any gigs with me?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, I was amazed. Here it is. I just wanted to meet her, and now she's asking me to do gigs with her. I said, "Yeah." And actually, I had a car, and she was like on the way home, so I drove her home, dropped her off.
With a car, right?
Yeah.
It's always a plus, right?
Yeah, always a plus. It wasn't much of a car, but it worked most of the time.
There may be trouble ahead, while there's moonlight and music and love and romance. Let's face the music and dance before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance. Let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune. And then there may be teardrops to shed, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune. And then heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so till I can hardly speak. And I seem to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week seem to vanish like a lucky gambler's streak when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I like to go out fishing in a river or a creek, but there's nothing I like half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. And I like to climb a mountain just to reach the highest peak, but there's nothing thrills me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Dance with me, I want my arms about you, the chimes about you will carry me through too. I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night and then have begged for more. I could have spread my wings and done a million things I've never done before. I'll never know what makes this so exciting. Why, all at once my heart took flight. Yes. I only know when he begins to dance with me. I could have danced. Danced. I'm going to go on Broadway, or at least I'm going to audition. Dance. I've grown accustomed to the bass. It almost makes my day begin. I've grown accustomed to your sound. I love you pound for pound. Your highs, your lows, the strings, the bow. Are second nature to me now, like breathing out and breathing in. I was serenely independent and content before we met. Surely I could always be that way again, and yet I don't want a piano player, and I don't want a drummer. I only want you, baby. I've grown accustomed to the tone, accustomed to your drone, accustomed to the bass.
Then we stayed in touch, and then we started to do gigs together. And then eventually, like, you know, we were together with Kuhn's band, which was an amazing.
It's funny you mentioned that band, as I remember that band. And you're, as you said, you were on ECM label. And that label was very well distributed, I remember. You could go to the record store, and there's a lot of ECM records. So that band with Moses and yourself and Steve and Sheila, I remember hearing several LPs on the ECM label, if I remember correctly. And you guys were like, if I could use the word famous. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than you, but so you were somebody that group was something that I aspired to. I thought, man, this is a working jazz group. They're out there doing it. I couldn't really relate to some of the other groups like Dizzy's group, or that was just something too far for me to attain. But that group, I thought, I could be in a group like this. We could tour like they tour. We could sound good like they tour, maybe. We could be on a record label and be fairly well known. This was a well-known group, I thought, at that time.
Yeah, we did pretty well. Yeah. So that was good, and so it was interesting. I mean, The music was great, but we had a lot of antics we did on stage that just happened. Nothing was ever scripted or planned, but there was a lot of funny stuff going on, comedy stuff that just ended up happening. I could go.
In my experience, that comes from musicians being comfortable with each other. You can't, if you're not comfortable playing with another musician, you're not going to have fun. It's not going to come through. You're not going to have antics. You're not going to joke around. So that's really a testimony to me that you guys are having a good time with what you were doing, it sounds.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun on the road and off the road. We had just a lot of, Steve Kuhn was a very funny guy. He did just, we just did a lot of laughs, a lot of joking, but the music was very serious. So anyway, yeah, that was good. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to tell you a couple of stories.
Well, that brings us now to this portion of the podcast. Tell me what's on your mind. Any stories? I mean, I want to hear, if you can, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'd like to hear some stories in the life of Harvie S.
Yeah, well, I was going to thank you. I was going to talk a little bit about some duo stories. We had one of our first, it was a pretty big gig and it was pretty early. We played at the Corcoran Gallery in Washington, D.C., and we were also guests on All Things Considered. Yeah, we did a thing on that show. So anyway, we're at the Corcoran Gallery, and we were staying at this guy's house, Joel Siegel, who was
I remember Joel.
Yeah, Joel Siegel. I love Joel.
Very well known.
Yeah, great guy. And so we were staying at his house, and he actually, I think he's the one who originally hooked this gig up. So we did a thing where, we did this, concert at the Corcoran Gallery. So we did the first set, and we were also recorded for NPR, and there's a tape of it, and they still air it. They aired it they aired it 2 years ago or something. Some of it. So Wynton Marsalis was the commentator. So we did the first half, and it went pretty well. And then we were backstage, and Sheila's all upset, and I was saying, "What's wrong, Sheila?" She says, "There's a guy in the front row," and he kept going, "Ugh. Like this." He kept doing that. He was mad there was no piano and no bass, and he was in the front row.
I didn't even. Had to be in the front row, right?
I never look at people, so he was in the front row. So Joel Siegel's back there with us, and Joel says, "I'll take care of it." So Joel, on the next set, the guy who had done that came back for the next set, and he's sitting there. Joel Siegel sits next to him, like a half an inch away from him, like this, and the guy couldn't do it, and so we did the second half. But Sheila was. I said, "Don't worry about people like that. I mean, this guy was just a nutcase,
I never thought about that. The traditionalists who might be offended that you don't have the standard jazz.
We got some of that.
Instrumentation. Wow, I never thought about that before. But
yeah, some people like, where's the piano?
Yeah.
They never gave us a chance to do what we do, but that's always going to happen. So, it doesn't shock me. But Sheila and I had a lot of fun. And then, like on a lighter note, we were in San Francisco, and we're going to some place to do a concert, and there was like a secretary there, and I think it was at a college, and she looked at us and she says, "Oh, congratulations!" And so Sheila and I said, "Oh, thank you," because we had a new CD came out, and she said, "Oh, thanks you. Yeah, the new CD's doing really well. It's actually a new record is doing well." And she says, "No." She says, "I heard you two got married." And Sheila, now what do you expect her to do? Okay, first thing, Sheila and I, we're definitely not that way. But instead of Sheila didn't say, "Oh, what? No." Sheila goes like this, with him. And I'm standing there like, I said, "Sheila, am I that bad?"
You won't even consider it.
She says, she's running with him, yuck. She's so funny. But that we had a lot of laughs.
Well, speaking of a lot of laughs, this has been a pleasure for me doing this with you.
Oh,
and,
thank you.
I wish you all the best with this series. It's called Harvie on Tap.
Harvie S on tap.
Harvie S on Tap. Can you explain this idea, what it means, Harvie S on Tap?
Yeah, well, the whole idea is I'm telling stories of my life. And all these stories, not all, but pretty much all the stories, are stuff that you're never going to hear anywhere else. They're not in books. They're not in other places. They're all new. And it's like when you get a beer or you get a Coca-Cola on tap. It's different than if you get it in a bottle. So this is coming right from the tap.
Right from the source.
Right.
Exactly.
And Joe, it's so great. And we've had great moments together and more to come.
I was just going to say, let's do this some more. I enjoy this too. So thanks for coming to Sacred Heart and doing this. And I wish you all the luck with your podcast.
Thank you.
All the best, Harvie.